Hello and welcome to Guitar Kickstart. My name is Rick Spurgin. In this course, we will learn some of the basics to get us learning how to play guitar. In this course, we will learn how to pick out a guitar. We'll also learn about the parts of the guitar and the differences between acoustic and electric guitars. We're also going to talk about how to properly hold our guitars, and we're going to talk about tuners and how to tune our guitars. We'll begin to learn how to read chord graphs and a few easy form chords. We'll practice on changing from chord to chord, and at the end of the course, we're going to talk a little bit about metronomes. Okay, so let's get started. Well, here we are. We decided now is the time to start learning how to play guitar. But we got one problem. We don't even have a guitar yet. Well, we're here at Legit Music in Council Bluffs, Iowa to talk about some of our different options. As you can see, there are many different options. Size, color, brands, whether it be an acoustic or an electric guitar that you're looking for, new or used, and of course there's the price. Okay, budget is one of the first things that we need to deal with. I highly recommend that you go to your local music store or do some research online and find out kind of what the going rate is on guitars. You can get a decent instrument without breaking the bank, but I do warn you, sometimes you do get what you pay for. So be very careful when kind of looking around. And there are some guitar-shaped objects out there that may look like a guitar, but they don't play like one. You want to find a guitar that is tunable and feels good in your hands. There are some great instruments that you can get without breaking the bank. Like here, for instance, today I am holding, this is a Fender Dreadnought acoustic, and it's not overly expensive, but this is a good quality instrument. It has die-cast tuners. Also, another thing that you can look out for when you're looking for a guitar, and be careful when you're looking at used instruments, is that you want to make sure it's in good working order, it's tunable, and make sure that the neck isn't bowed or warped, and also the bridge isn't bowed or warped. You want to make sure that the action is very comfortable. And what the action is really it's the distance between the strings and the fretboard. You want to make sure it's not too high, because when you're trying to play chords or notes, if the action is too high, it's going to be hard for you to press down your fingers. And when you're starting to learn how to play, you got to build those calluses and your finger strength. So you want to make sure the guitar is comfortable to play. Also, make sure it's not too big for you or too heavy. And a lot of times people may have a guitar that they want in mind, but they may go and it just doesn't feel right. So if you have a guitar that you have in mind that you would like to get, go down to your local music store, try it out, and try a few of them out and see if it feels right for you. Also, another thing I would recommend that you get is you want to get yourself a good case for your guitar if you plan on taking it anywhere outside your house. I mean, you're investing some money, so you want to make sure your instrument doesn't get beat up. There are a lot of different options to choose from. Some people may have a pretty good budget to work with, but make sure you get a good quality instrument. I do recommend you go to your local music store, try out a few, have some of the people maybe recommend and show you some different options. Okay, now if you decide to go with an electric, there are a lot of different options as well. Here I have this is a Squier Stratocaster. It's made by the Fender company. You can see it's got a beautiful finish. It's not a real expensive guitar. This particular guitar retails for about $400. Now, sometimes if you get some of these starter electric guitars, they may come with a kit that may have a gig bag. And another thing that you will need to have if you have electric guitars, you got to have an amplifier to play with. Now, there are a lot of different options. They come in all kinds of different sizes and price ranges. You can get yourself a decent amplifier for not a lot of money. But there again, amplifiers range all over the place. There are name brands, there are what they call boutique brands, and all kinds of different wattages as well. So lots to choose from, and that'll give you an idea of some of the things that you may want to take into consideration when picking out your guitar. Okay, let's talk about our guitars and our parts of our guitars. Today I'm going to start off with an acoustic guitar. Now this acoustic guitar also happens to be an electric, but we're going to get into that here in a moment. Now the parts of our guitar, for acoustic and electrics, they're pretty much named the same thing. This part here at the top is called our head, or our headstock. You're going to notice that they come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes, but they all pretty much have the same function. The guitars we're going to be talking about in this course are all 6-string guitars, but you probably notice that there's 12-string guitars, and you'll probably see that 4-string guitars, which are more commonly referred to as bass guitars, which have a lot lower notes. So we have our tuners. I'm sure you've figured that out by now. We have 6 strings coming over here. This little part here coming off of the headstock, this is called a nut, where our strings are going to bridge over that, come down this area. This part here of our guitar is called a neck. Now, the front part of our neck of our guitar, you'll see we have this area here. This is called a fingerboard, or it is also referred to as a fretboard, because you're going to notice that we have these rectangled areas that go up the neck, and these are called frets. So we come down here and it ends up to the body of the guitar. The top part of our acoustic guitars here, this is called a soundboard. Now, on our acoustic guitars, we have a hole right here, and that is called the sound hole. Now, there's some acoustic guitars that will maybe have different shaped sound holes, or maybe some smaller sound holes off the side of the guitar, but more commonly, it's right here in the center of the guitar. Now, below the sound hole, and it's hard to tell on this guitar because this guitar is black, but there is this black plastic piece, and this is called a pick guard, or a scratch plate, because when you're strumming your guitar, sometimes you can scratch your guitar. Now, I do have some guitars that don't have that as well, and they do get scratched up. So this kind of helps protect your guitar a little bit. So the strings come down over here and end at this portion of our guitar, and this is called the bridge. Now, how an acoustic guitar works is acoustics are the physics of sound. So the string vibrates and goes into the sound hole and goes into the body of the guitar, bounces around inside there, and projects out the sound hole. Uses the science of sound called acoustics, and that's why they're called an acoustic guitar. Okay, now I have an electric guitar, and the parts of it are pretty much called the same thing as the acoustic guitar. You're going to notice that the headstock on this particular model is a lot different than what we had on the acoustic guitar, and you're going to notice all the tuners are on one side of the headstock. They function the same way, it's just design. And this particular model of electric guitar is referred to as a Stratocaster, or for short we call them Strats. This particular guitar was made by the Fender company. They were the actual inventor of the Stratocaster, but you're going to notice that there is a lot of other brands out there that make a very similar model and function of electric guitar. So once again, we have the head, or the headstock, the nut. Coming down, we have the neck of the guitar, we have the fretboard. One of the things I did want to point out to you, that on our fretboard we have dots. Some guitars may have squares or dots or other kind of designs. every so often on the frets, and these are position markers. Now, later on, when you get more advanced in your guitar playing, those are going to come in handy because they're going to show you the different positions that you can play chords and scales at, and they serve as sort of landmarks on our guitar. But for this course, we're going to be concentrating pretty much in this first 3 fret area, which is referred to as the first position. So moving on, we have the body of the guitar. Now this body of this electric guitar is solid. It's a solid piece of wood. Now our acoustics are hollow, so the sound can bounce around inside the guitar and project out the sound hole. Now not all electric guitars are solid. There's quite a few models out there that are hollow, and they're really used for a lot of jazz playing. Also, a lot of rock as well. It gives you, and blues. It gives you a little bit more sustain with a hollow guitar, but the solid body is very commonly used electric guitar format. Now, coming down here, you're going to notice here at the end of our strings, we have a bridge, and the bridge on an electric guitar more commonly is metal. And it helps supply a lot more sustain on our strings. Now, this particular model has a handle that is attached to the bridge of the guitar, and its function, it's called a whammy bar. And what it does is you can bend notes and chords and also add vibrato to it as well. They're a lot of fun. Now, acoustic and electric guitars, the notes, the chords are all the same. If you can play an acoustic guitar, you can play an electric guitar and vice versa. They just use 2 different principles of science on how they produce sound. Now, you see on the front part of this guitar, we have these things. These are called pickups, and that is what their function is. They pick up the vibration of the string and turn it into basically an electrical impulse. What these are magnets, and the magnet picks up the vibration of the string, turns it into an electrical impulse, goes through the wires and circuitry of the guitar, through the cord into the speaker, which we call an amplifier. Now, the amplifier inside of it has a paper cone, a speaker, that has a magnet attached to it as well. So what happens is the electrical impulse picks up from this magnet, goes through the cord, and vibrates the other magnet. Now, the more power that you give it, the more the magnet vibrates and shakes the paper cone, and that's how an amplifier works. And you'll need to have one of those if you're playing electric guitar, or you're really not going to be able to hear what you're playing. Now, this particular model of electric guitar, we have these knobs, and this particular one has 1 volume knob and 2 tone controls. There are some electric guitars that have 2 separate volume knobs and 2 control knobs, or tone control knobs. Now, the volume knob does exactly what it says it does. I can turn that down, it turns down the volume, and turn it up, and it turns up the volume. You can control your volume if you want more or less of it by just your control knob instead of having to go over to your amplifier. Now, these knobs here are tone controls, and what they do is they shape the tone of what the certain pickups supply tone to, and you can control whether you get more of a darker tone or a brighter tone by just working with your tone controls. Now here we have a switch, and this is called a pickup selector. And what it does is, if I have my switch all the way up in the up position, it turns on this pickup, which we refer to as the neck pickup. Now, a neck pickup has sort of a darker, mellower sound. It's really good for playing rhythm guitar and more cleaner tones. Now, If I select it to the next section, it makes a combination of the bridge, the neck pickup and the middle pickup. So it brightens it up. Now in the middle here, it is a combination of, it depends on how your guitar is wired. Some guitars will have it the bridge or the neck and the bridge pickup at the same time, or some have all three. So you get more of a fuller sound. You're getting the darker sounds of the neck pickup, and you're getting brighter tones of the bridge pickup. The next position, it's a combination of the middle pickup and the bridge pickup. And you're noticing as the pickups go toward the bridge, you're getting brighter and brighter. And all the way down, I have the bridge pickup. The bridge pickup is good for playing a lot of lead guitar kind of things, or if you're looking for some really bright sounds in your rhythm playing. So that is how an electric guitar works. Now, the physics of a guitar here, you notice that, I'm sure by messing with your guitars, you've discovered that as you're going up the neck, the notes get higher. And as you go down the neck toward the headstock, the notes get lower. And what we have is our nut and our bridge. We have a point A and point B. The string vibrates at a certain frequency, and that is the note. And as we go up the frets, we shorten the distance between A and B, and the note or the string will vibrate faster and faster. And that is a real quick physics lesson on how the notes work on a guitar. So that's the parts of our guitar, the difference between acoustics and electrics. And next we're going to start by learning how to tune our guitars. Okay, one of the first things we need to talk about is how to properly hold our guitar. Now, you want to sit it on your lap, just kind of on one leg. You might be comfortable for you to sit it on this leg. I like to sit it over here. I get a nice position, and it's comfortable for my arm and my wrist this way. So I sit it on my leg right here. You want to keep your guitar kind of nice and parallel. You don't want to lay it flat kind of like that, because you're not going to have a good position when you're trying to play chords. You want to keep it nice and parallel, and that way you can have a nice angle on your fingers and get the best sound from your chords. If you don't have the guitar setting right, also can create some pain in your hands and wrists, and that wouldn't be good. Another thing I want to talk about is picks. The proper name for them is a plectrum, but most commonly referred to as a guitar pick. You're going to notice they come in all shapes and sizes. And I do highly recommend that you go down to your local music store and pick out several. There are all kinds of different shapes, sizes, colors, thicknesses, and try some out and see which ones you like. Every guitar player sort of has the pick that they like. I like one that has kind of a grip. I use kind of a medium pick. There's some that are heavy. You're going to find that the heavier picks, you're not going to, when you're strumming, they're going to be a little louder. Thin picks will have a little bit more of a softer sound. I like something medium. Has a little bend to it. But you just, you're going to hold it between your first finger and your thumb, and just kind of grip it like that. I don't use a lot of pick. You just want to use a little bit of the tip, like that. You don't want to use too much pick, because that doesn't sound very good. So just practice using just the tip of your pick, just a little bit. And as you progress in your playing, you'll become more comfortable with that. Okay, now let's tune our guitars. I'm going to talk to you about electronic tuners. If you don't have an electronic tuner yet, please consider getting one. These are going to be very handy when you're tuning up your guitar to be most accurate. There's a couple different kinds. There's actually several different kinds of tuners and all kinds of different shapes and sizes and price ranges. These two are fairly inexpensive and they work in two different ways. Now this one here is a standard electronic tuner, and it functions in a couple different ways. It does have a built-in microphone here in the front, so if you're playing an acoustic guitar, it'll pick up the sound of your guitar. Also, on the side here, if you have an electric guitar, you can plug your electric directly into the tuner and tune it up that way. So it can either work by sound or direct into that. Now, these are some of the newest tuners on the market, and this particular one here, there's several different kinds of brands. This one works on vibration of your guitar, and they're very accurate, fairly inexpensive, and it's starting to become a standard out there. A lot of people are using these little clip-on tuners, and what you do is you just clip the tuner onto your headstock. You start to tune your strings. It picks up the vibration of the string and reads the note. It's really handy if you got a lot of background noise. It won't interfere with the note that you're tuning to. On these tuners, if you are trying to tune your acoustic and you're just going through the microphone, if you have background noise, if you have TVs going on, your dog's barking, kids yelling, whatever you have, there's going to be a lot of interference going on your tuner. Another thing on the tuner, it will show whether your note is flat or sharp or if you're in tune. And we're going to walk through that here in just a moment. I'm going to use the little clip-on tuner and we'll tune our strings and just kind of walk you through it. You can see how it's done. And I do recommend that you get yourself an electronic tuner if you don't already have them. Some of you may have gotten a guitar kit that comes equipped with one, but if you don't have one, please go down to your local music store and purchase one. Okay, the next thing we're going to need to talk about is how to tune our guitars. It's very important because you want yourself to sound good as you're playing your notes and chords. And one of the first things we need to learn is what the names of our strings are. Our strings in standard tuning are named to the notes that they are tuned to. Now, starting here with our low string, and I say low string because it's the deepest one. This one is our E. That's our E string. Next up, we have our A string. This is A. Then we have our D. Next, here in the middle, we have our G. This is our G. Then we have our B. And then, last but not least, we have our E. It's a high E. So we have two E's. We have a low E and a high E. Once again, I'll go through that. It's E, A, D, G, B, and E. I have a saying that I tell all my students, and this really helps them memorize what the names of their strings are. The saying goes, Ed ate dynamite, goodbye, Ed. So if you remember that silly little saying, you'll always know what the names of your strings are. Ed ate dynamite, goodbye, Ed. E, A, D, G, B, and E. And that's what the names of our strings are. We'll need to know that because next we're going to talk about tuning, and we need to know what the names of our notes are so we can tune it to the right note. Okay, now we're going to tune up together, and I'm going to demonstrate the vibration headstock tuner, and you can follow along with that. If you don't have a tuner of your own, you can tune up with me, and hopefully we will be relatively close to being the same in tune. So first of all, when I tune up, I always start with my low E. Now you're going to see that tuner, it says E in the middle, and you want to get it right at the middle of the tuner where it's green. It'll say E. Hang on a second. Let me adjust that a little bit. There we go. We're in tune. Now I move on to the A. It says I'm a little flat, so if I don't have the green and it's on this side of the arrow, it means I probably need to tighten my string a little bit. So I get it in the green. A little too much there. That's our A. Now we're going to move on to the D. That one says I'm a little sharp, so now I need to loosen my peg just a little bit. Just a little dab. A little dab will do you. It's right in the green, it says D. I'm good to go. Next we move on to the G. That one looks right on the money. Let me play that again. That's the G. Next, let's move on to the B. It says I'm a little sharp. I'm going to loosen that a little bit. And that's the B. Next, let's move on to the high E. Oh, it says I'm a little sharp. Let me bring it back a little bit. Sometimes if you're a little sharp, you might want to bring it down under where it's flat and then come back up on it. Okay, I'm right in the green. Okay, I'm in tune. Are you in tune? Alright. So that is tuning up our guitar. One more time, I'm going to go just really quickly through the strings so you can check your tuning as well. We'll go back to the low E. Now we're going to go to A. Then to D. Now we go to G. Okay, now the next segment we're going to talk about is starting to play chords. One of the things that we need to understand is how a chord grid works, or a chord graph. Now, as you can see, there are vertical lines and horizontal lines. And let me demonstrate how those work. That grid, what it is like your guitar sort of standing up in front of you. You're going to see these vertical lines, these are your guitar strings. And the horizontal areas are your frets. Now, another thing we need to understand is there are going to be dots on there, and those are our finger positions. Now, our fingers are going to be numbered. 1 is our index finger, our pointer finger. 2 is our middle finger. 3 is going to be our ring finger, and 4 is our pinky. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to see those numbers on your chord graphs, and that's going to be the finger that you used to put down on the string and the fret. Now we're going to begin learning an easy form chord. The first chord we're going to talk about is the easy form G. And why I call it an easy form, because really we're just using one finger for that. Then later on we're going to learn the full G chord, but for right now, since we're just starting out, we're going to just start with some one finger chords and then build up from there. The first one we're talking about is the easy form G. We're going to use just our third finger. We're going to put that on the first string. And when I say first string, we're counting our strings from the high E down. So our first string is going to be our high E. It's going to go 1, first string, second string, third string, fourth string, fifth string, and sixth string is our low E. So our first string being the high E, third finger, third fret, and you want to make sure you get that right on the tip of your finger. You want to your finger standing up pretty straight. You don't want to lay it back like that. And also make sure your finger is not on the fret wire because it'll buzz. You want to have it kind of right before it. Now I have my finger up pretty straight, so you, like soldiers at attention, you want to get your finger right there. And I have my thumb comfortably positioned on the back part of my neck so I can have a good arch on my finger, so it's not accidentally touching the next string underneath. You don't want that because that'll affect the tone of the chord, and it deadens out an important note to have in that chord. Now for the easy form G, we're just going to play the top 4 strings. So starting with my open D, I'm just pressing my third finger down on the third fret and strumming down. Once again. One more time. And that is the easy form G chord. Guess what? You're playing guitar. Okay, now what we're going to do is some strumming exercises using our easy G form. And one thing I need to cover first is we need to talk about some rests. And I know we were saying that we were not going to do a lot of music theory, but these are an important part of these exercises, so I'm going to go over these with you right now, just briefly. The first rest we're going to talk about is the whole rest. The whole rest receives 4 counts. So instead of playing, we rest for 4 counts. So to demonstrate, I would like strum and then rest 1, 2, 3, 4. That's called a whole rest. Next, we have the half rest. And the half rest gets 2 counts. So instead of playing, we would rest for 2 counts. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Like that. for an example, you're going to notice there's some similarities between the whole rest and the half rest. One goes one direction, one goes the other. I tell my students, here's kind of how you can picture the difference. Imagine the whole rest and the half rest are like hats sitting on a table. The whole rest, the hat is flipped upside down so you see the hole at the top of the hat. I know it's spelled differently, but you get the idea. Next, I'm going to talk about the quarter rest. You're going to notice the quarter rest sort of looks like a lightning bolt. The quarter rest gets only one count, so you would rest for one beat. One more thing I'd like to cover before we move on to the exercises is the strum. Now you're going to see a slash like this. That indicates a down strum. So that would be just strumming down, starting from your low strings, going to your high strings, just strumming down that way. Okay, I think we're ready to begin the exercise. Okay, next up we're going to work on a strumming exercise using our easy G form. Now, on this exercise, you'll notice that we have our down strums and our whole rests. You're also going to notice on this line there are some vertical lines dividing up the lines. Those are called measures. So in these exercises, each one of those segments, which we call measures, get 4 counts. So on this exercise, I'm playing my easy G form, and I'm just going to demonstrate and just kind of watch what I do. So here's how it works. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's try it together. I'm going to give us a 4 count. And we're just going to take our time. And are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 strum. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 strum. Rest, 2, 3, 4. All right, good job. Let's try it one more time together. I'll give us a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 strum. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 strum. Rest, 2, 3, 4. All right, good job. Now, work on this on your own for a little bit. Take your time with it. When you feel comfortable with the strumming exercise, move on to the next one. We'll see you there. Okay, this next exercise, we're going to still use the easy G form. And once again, it is with our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret on the 1st string, just strumming those top 4 strings. Now on this exercise, we're introducing the half rest. So remember that half rest gets 2 counts. I'm going to play through this and just kind of watch what I do, and then we'll play it together. So it goes strum, 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 rest, rest, strum, 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 rest, rest. All right, let's try it together. I'm going to give us a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 rest, rest, strum, 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 rest, rest. All right, let's do it one more time together. I'll give us a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, good job. Take your time with this, work on this on your own, and then we'll move on to exercise number 3. Okay, here we are at exercise number 3. We're still using the easy form G. Now this one we are introducing the quarter rest. The quarter rest gets 1 count. And I will play through this and demonstrate it. Watch what I do, and then we'll play it together. So we have strum, 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 rest, strum, 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 rest. All right, let's try it together. I'll give us a 4 count to start off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 rest. Strum, 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 rest. All right, very good. Let's do it one more time together. I'll give us a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, good job. All right, now you're on your own. Work on this for a little bit, and once you're comfortable, move on to exercise number 4. Okay, it's time to learn another chord now. We have the easy form C chord. The easy form C chord is just taking our first finger and putting it on the first fret on our 2nd string. And we're just going to play the top 3 strings. These 3 strings right here. That is our easy form C chord. Now be careful with your finger that it doesn't accidentally touch the high E string underneath. You want to keep it pretty straight up, because if you tend to bring it down, you're going to mute that open string, and you don't want that. You want to keep it straight up like a soldier at attention, as they used to say. So the easy form C chord is played like that. Okay, it's time for exercise number 4. This time we're using the easy form C chord, and you're going to notice that we have some half rests in there. So we're going to be strumming with some half rests. I'll play through it, watch what I do, and then we will play it together. So I'm going to start off with giving myself a 4 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I strum, 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 rest, rest, strum, 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 rest, rest. All right, let's play it together. You ready? I'm going to give us a 4 count. Easy form C chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 rest, rest. Strum, 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 rest, rest. Another thing I do want to mention on this is I didn't mention on the exercises before, but when you do rest, it's nice to take your hand and just kind of put it on the strings and dampen the strings so they don't vibrate out, so you get a good silent rest. So let's try exercise number 4 one more time together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 strum. Rest, rest. Strum, 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 strum. Rest, rest. All right, try it on your own. Work on it, and when you feel comfortable, let's move on to exercise number 5. All right, here we are at exercise number 5, playing the easy form C chord. I'm going to walk through this. You're going to see that we have some quarter rests on this one. I'll walk through this, watch what I do. You guys know the drill now, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Rest. All right, let's try it together. I'm going to give us a 4 count. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Rest. All right, here we go. Let's try it one more time together. Give us a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's time for another chord. This one we're going to talk about is the easy form G7 chord. Now we're going to take our first finger and we're going to put that on the first string, first fret. Now for the easy form G7, we can play our top 4 strings. You want to make sure that also with your finger that you're not touching the fret wire. You want to be right kind of before that fret wire there. Press down nice and firmly so you're getting a tone off your note. So the easy form G7 is just our first finger on the first fret on the first string. Okay, here we are at exercise number 6. This time we are playing the easy form G7 chord, and I'm going to walk us through this one. And this one we got quarter rests on, so it is going to go like this: strum, 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 rest, strum, 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 rest. All right, let's try it together. I'm going to give us a 4 count. We're playing the easy form G7 chord this time. You guys ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. Okay, great. Let's try it one more time together. Here's the 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. All right, excellent. Work on that on your own, and when you're comfortable with that G7, Let's move on to the next exercise. Coming up is exercise number 7. Okay, here we are at exercise number 7. Now, in exercise number 7, you're going to see that we are going to go from the easy form C chord to the easy form G7 chord. So we're starting to change chords now. Now, in this one, I start off with my easy C chord, and I'm going to go strum, 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 rest, and as I'm resting, I'm going to move my first finger down to the first string to play that easy form G7 chord. Then I'm going to go strum, 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 rest, and then as I'm resting, I'm moving to the back to the C chord. 1, 2, 3, rest, and back to the G7 again. 1, 2, 3, rest. Okay, I'm going to walk through it one more time, and then we're going to do it together. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. G7. 1, 2, 3, rest. Back to C. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. Okay, one more time. Here we go. We give us 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 change, strum, 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 change, strum, 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 change, strum, 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 rest. All right, that's exercise number 7. Now we're starting to learn to change from chord to chord. Work on that, take your time, and get comfortable with it before you move on to exercise number 8. Okay, here we are, exercise number 8. We're going to use the easy form C chord and the easy form G7 chord, practicing going from chord to chord. You're going to notice on exercise number 8, we start off strumming the C for 4 strums, the G7 for 4 strums. Then we're going to have a measure where we're going to have the C for 2 strums, the G7 for 2 strums, then ending on our C chord for 4 strums. So I'm going to demonstrate this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this one's going to take you a little bit of practicing. I want you to work on this till you're not stopping between chord changes. One thing you can think of is when you're going from chord to chord, like for this first measure, I'm playing the C chord, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. On the fourth beat, you would say and before you get to 1. On that and, you start to make your change. So let's try this together. I'm going to give us a 4 count, and this is going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's try it together one more time. I'll give us a 4 count. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent job. Work on those exercises before we move on to the next chord. Okay, one of the things I'd like to talk to you about now is a metronome. This is a handy little tool for when you're practicing strumming your chord exercises. It sets a beat for you. Now there's different kinds of metronomes. This is a relatively inexpensive one. I've had this for a number of years. They also have some really cool apps for smartphones that have metronomes on them as well, which are really cool. I do highly advise for you to get some sort of metronome to work with on your own practicing. Set it at a slow pace and get kind of used to working with strumming along with that. I'm going to set something here. On here it gives you beats per minute, and you can set it to a slow tempo when you're going through some of your strumming things. That way you're just kind of used to something helping you keep the beat and keep a rhythm. And then gradually you can increase the speed as you progress in your strumming exercises. So metronome, you can get these at your friendly neighborhood music store. You can also get these on Amazon and at your app store for your smartphones. So get yourself a metronome to work with. Okay, here we are. We're at the end of the course. It went pretty fast, didn't it? Now I invite you to join my course, Introduction to Guitar. In this course, you will do some review about what we have already talked about so far, or you're welcome to jump ahead to the full chords. This course you will learn how to play the major, minor, as well as the dominant 7 chords. You're also going to learn how to read tablature, and by the end of the course you'll be able to play some 12-bar blues. This course has over 60 video examples and printable PDFs for you to practice with. It'll also have some jam tracks for you to play along with. So as you can see, the journey is just beginning. There's so much more to learn. So we'll see you there.